The other day, we talked about some nations who will be having some selection headaches in certain positions, but while these big nations seem to have an overload of talents in some positions, they also seem to have a scarcity in certain other positions, and we want to look at some of those in this video today. These are the weakest positions in every big nation ahead of the World Cup. We'll start with England. While they have an abundance of top players in attacking midfield and even in the defense, they seem to be pretty thin on the left wing. Right now, their best options on that wing are Marcus Rashford and Anthony Gordon. Gordon is now being used almost exclusively as a centre forward at his club, while Rashford is just not at his best level anymore. And the thing is that there aren't many other options to motivate them to do better. Even Eberechi Eze, who can also play in that position, has not been at his best either. You feel like that is one position in England's squad that is still up for grabs for whoever really wants it. Centre forward, right wing, centre midfield, and even goalkeeper are all already decided. But the left wing, yeah, that still feels very open right now. Another super packed national team is France, and you naturally expect them to do well at the World Cup, but they have one very obvious weakness. Do you know which position we're referring to here? Take a guess in the comments, we'll see if you're right soon. While you're there, if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go do that right away so you never miss out on our amazing content. Done? Now, back to the video. Let's talk about the defending champions Argentina. To be fair, the left wing has been one of Argentina's weakest positions for some time, but at the 2022 World Cup, they were able to use the legendary Di Maria there. This time around though, they won't have that luxury as he is now retired, so we might see that weakness being highlighted at this World Cup. Argentina's real left-wing options right now are Nico Gonzalez and Thiago Almada, both of Atletico Madrid. They're not bad players, but they're surely not yet at the level where you can rely fully on them. We won't be surprised if Scaloni opts to use Julian Alvarez on that wing while Lautaro Martinez plays as the 9. Having talked about Argentina, it's only right we talk about Portugal next. The reigning Nations League champions are another team with a really packed squad. It is often said that they can field 3 different strong 11s, and while there's some truth to that, there's still one position where they are quite lacking, and that's the centre forward. It might sound crazy because that's the position Cristiano Ronaldo plays, but hear us out. Obviously, we expect Ronaldo to lead the line for Portugal, but let's not forget that he is now 41 years old and way past his prime. Relying completely on him on the biggest stage is not exactly smart, is it? The problem now though is that if they choose to give him a rest, the drop would be too massive, as the only other real centre forward option Portugal has is Gonçalo Ramos, a man who hardly plays for his club side. This is why we say that that's their weakest position. Obviously, it is still much stronger than what many other teams can boast of, especially when you have Ronaldo as an option there. But relative to how stacked they are at virtually every other position on the field, you have to say that this is their weakest. Now, what about Belgium? They used to be one of the most talented national teams in the world, but their golden generation is now behind them, so things now look a little different. However, they still have loads of options on the wings, at centre forward and in the goalkeeper position. But at centre back, they don't have so many. Gone are the days when they used to have Vincent Kompany, Thomas Vermaelen, Toby Alderweireld and co. Right now, the only relatively known names they have in central defence are Wout Faes and Zeno de Bast. And as we saw for years in the Premier League, Faes is a guy who always seems to have an error in him. Arthur Theatre is not a bad defender, but he's currently out injured and is not expected back until April, so who knows what form he'll be in when the World Cup comes around. This is surely not good news for Belgium. Anyway, speaking of injuries, that surely influences Germany's weakest position going into the World Cup. It sounds pretty crazy to say, but the current reality is that their weakest position is the goalkeeping spot. For a team that had Manuel Neuer for the longest and Oliver Kahn before him, they might be in for quite some shock at this summer's World Cup. Manuel Neuer has now retired from international football, and Marc-Andre ter Stegen was supposed to naturally take over as Germany's number 1, but he has been really struggling with injuries, which leaves his availability for the World Cup in doubt. What this means is that they might have to rely on a 35-year-old Oliver Baumann or an inexperienced Noah Atubalu in North America this summer. To be very honest, none of these options really spark a lot of confidence, surely not for a big footballing nation like Germany, who are used to having the best goalkeeper in the world. Anyway, let's now come to France. The 2018 winners will be heading into the 2026 showdown as favourites once again, and that's very understandable when you look at the squad they have. They have top players in the attack, midfield, defence, everywhere except the left back position. Theo Hernandez is not the guy he used to be. I mean, that should naturally explain why he's now playing in the Saudi Pro League despite still being in his 20s. But the issue is that the other option is Lucas Digne, and while he might be decent going forward and quite an asset from set pieces, his defending leaves a lot to be desired. These two left-back options might be seen as great for a lot of other teams, but for a team like France that's spoilt for choice in every position on the pitch, this is definitely their weakest position. Another star-studded national team we'll be seeing at the World Cup is Brazil. We've talked about how much headache Carlo Ancelotti will have trying to select attackers who will go to the World Cup because of the many options he has in those positions, but they are not exactly abundant in the fullback positions, are they? At left back, it's looking like it's either going to be 35-year-old Alexandro or a Caio Henrique who has never played in a major international tournament in his career and only has 5 caps to his name at the age of 28. At right back, it looks like they'll be relying almost entirely on 22-year-old Wesley because the other option there is Paulo Henrique, who plays for the club currently bottom of the Brazilian league. A lot is said about Brazil's attacking and midfield options, but not much has been said about their fullback options because they're looking really weak both on the right and left-hand sides of defense. Let's now wrap up with the European champion Spain. We saw them dominate the Euros in 2024, and everyone is expecting them to do the same at the World Cup thanks to their star-studded squad and world-class players, but there's one position where they aren't too strong, and that's the left wing. Spain's left wing used to be so strong because of Nico Williams, but no thanks to injuries, he has been a complete shadow of himself this season. He has missed more than 2 months of football so far this season, which has limited him to just 4 goals across all competitions. Even if he returns from his current injury before the World Cup, we doubt he'll be in great form to tear things up like he did at the Euros. And in his absence, what are Spain's other options on that wing? There aren't many quality ones, to be honest. Brian Gill and Brian Zaragoza are not good enough, while Rodrigo Riquelme is not even a starter for Real Betis. In Nico Williams' absence, Spain might be forced to convert Alex Baena into a left winger or try out new names like Victor Munoz, whose speed could maybe come in handy on the wing. But all these calculations are only happening because Spain's left wing is now very weak. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Do you agree with our list? What do you think is your nation's weakest position? Get in the comments and talk to us. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.
Hey Goal 90 family, what's good? The World Cup season is here and you already know the vibes on this channel. So for everyone who's been rocking with us, Goal 90 Shop has World Cup jerseys for the whole squad. Men, women and kids. Whatever country you're repping, we've got ya. Home kits, away kits, clean classics and the loud ones. Instant match day energy. And it's love from us. Free shipping worldwide. Grab yours now and let's run this tournament together.